Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Module 12 for World History 2 with Dr. Leeser. World War II and the Origins of the Cold War, 1939 to 1949. I know you've been enjoying working on World War II as a topic. It's odd to think about studying a war as being interesting and fun, but World War II has a certain romanticism about it, I think. And again, I think it has a lot to do with movies and television and even video games. It's thought of by many Americans as a good war, and I would use air quotes around that, a good war. And what I mean by that is it was a just cause, we were the good guys, there's a clear enemy that was out for world domination, and it's easy to hate them. So it's nice to think about the United States doing something really good in American foreign policy. And again, in today's current era, America's role in the world is sometimes a little bit more confusing and harder to define. So I think that has something to do with it too. But in the end, World War II was a great victory for democracy and for stopping this horrible trend of fascism. But what came after was really complicated and set the world on a course that we're still paying the price for. The Cold War is my most favorite topic as a professor. It's where I did the most time studying when I was in graduate school, and I even wrote my dissertation about a topic involving the Cold War. And what I find so fascinating about it is that the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union was born during World War II. We were allies, unlikely ones for sure because of the communist government run by a dictator named Joseph Stalin. But when the war was winding down, the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union was clearly already blossoming. At the conferences that you'll read about at places such as Yalta, the negotiations between the United States and the Soviet Union were already tense. And when the war finally came to an end, when the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan, the Soviets were already trying to build that same technology. In fact, the famous case of the Rosenbergs in the United States, where there were Soviet spies who stole the plans for the atomic weapons from the American science facilities that were building it secretly during the war. The Cold War came to define the world because the United States and the Soviet Union decided to essentially carve up the world with allies between them. And almost everyone that was a major power in the world had to choose a side. And even minor powers had to choose a side, because if you wanted foreign policy protection or you wanted financial help or weapons, it was one of the 2 superpowers that you had to go to. And so all across the world, both sides chose to fund revolutions and fight proxy wars, which you'll read about. And also they chose to use secret operations through spies, and the undercover operations by the United States through the CIA and by the KGB through the Soviet Union led to all sorts of long-term consequences. In fact, today, many of our foreign policy problems are still rooted in the decisions we made during the Cold War, which stretched from the end of World War II all the way until the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s. So I really hope you enjoy reading about these topics. And again, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out and let me know what they are. I'm happy to have a conversation with you about any of these discussions, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say to each other. Take care, everybody.